as soon as you enter or as soon as you wear that new piece of cloth, you know that the gratification comes. So I think human beings are wired to spend freely on instant gratification, right? We don't think twice before, adding clothes to the cart or paying the bouncer 2,000 rupees cover charge. We don't think twice. But when it comes to spending that, even a half amount of that money on something which will take a lot more time for gratification, we are very wary. That is something that I have come to realize ever since I became a content creator, because I was a person who was very, very wary of investing in myself.
Sharan, welcome to the upGrad podcast.
Pleasure to be here.
We have all heard you giving cool, fun investment advice, how you can use your money better, make it work for you. But we're hoping to sort of talk to you about how you go about your work, not how to invest money, not how to make your money work for you, but how do you go about your work? Mm-hmm. How do you invest in your work, and what lessons working professionals can take away from how you operate?
Absolutely. Some of the things that I did was early on in my career as a content creator, I did not have the best camera equipment. I had an MI phone, I guess, and I shot around 20 videos with that. And then I was seeing that my video quality did not compare to the other content creators, the typical content creators, because they were all using the latest iPhone. And I was of the opinion that iPhone is just for showing off. Why would I ever need an iPhone? I was of that mentality. But then I had to buy it because that is the best, cheapest way that I could upgrade my camera quality. There is a way of buying a DSLR, but I didn't want to take that route yet. I just started, did not make any money. Actually, my dad bought it for me. Right? Even I didn't want to buy the iPhone, so my dad bought it for me. He only pushed me to buy it. And that was a game changer for me. So just with that iPhone and a normal 2,000 rupees phone stand and the natural sunlight coming into my bedroom, I reached 1 million followers. Just with that 55,000 rupees investment after the GST tax benefits, right? So that was my first investment. And something that I did recently was moving to Mumbai and creating a studio space in my apartment. That also has paid a lot of dividends because it has sped up the shooting time. Earlier when I was shooting in my bedroom, as a content creator, you hate birds and vehicles because they disrupt the sound and then you have to reshoot it again. Reshoot every line 15 to 20 times because there was some background noise. There were kids playing in the streets. Right? There's a bird chirping. You hate sparrows, right? Especially when lockdown happened, sparrows started coming in. I hated it, right? So having a studio space is completely soundproof. That was a big investment. I spent 3 lakhs on doing that. But now I can churn out 3 times faster content because of that investment, again freeing up my time. So these are some examples of me investing in my career, which I should not do as a working professional. As a working professional, if I wanted to buy a course or something, I was very wary of using my own money. But what I did cleverly was I used to convince my manager that this is important for me. Right? And because I was in a big corporate job like KPMG, they were ready to sponsor it. So I just tell my manager, this is going to help me in this project. I'm going to write you a mail to the HR. I'm going to CC you. Can you please approve it? And I was chill with him, so he approved it. So I could get any course I wanted.
So you got him to believe that it's an investment for him.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so that was it. But I was still wary of, using my own money for it. That is because most of us are, like I said, driven towards instant gratification, and we can never be 100% sure whether this investment in a career will give you, those output. That's because you need to put in the work, and you are discounting that factor when you're making that purchase decision. That is why you're so scared of making that investment. You want things to be, spoon-fed to you. You think that, okay, if I make this investment, it will come to me. It's not like that. You need to put in the effort to make it give you the ROI.
I want to go back a few years because I also want to ask you about your experience as a working professional. You worked for 2-3 years,
right?
KPMG, PwC, and you worked in data as an analyst, which is, of course, for us, it's a big sort of sector. We have a lot of data science courses.
Right.
You come from an engineering background. Again, you throw a stone in India, you'll hit an engineer, right?
Right.
So I think a lot of people will find relatability in knowing your journey after engineering as a working professional and now as, I won't just limit to content creator, but as a brand.
See, I knew by the 3rd year that I did not want to do mechanical engineering. I did not see myself, working independently. I like to work with teams. That is what I realized halfway through my engineering. Plus, mechanical engineering jobs don't pay well, right? So that was another motivating factor for me to not do that. So I thought, what is one of the highest paying jobs out there? And if you do Google search, you'll find investment banking and you'll find management consulting. Investment banking, it sounds cool, right? That's what Hollywood has glorified. Investment bankers make a lot of money, wear suits and all of that. applied to all the big companies, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, all of them gave me that typical email reply, thank you for applying, you seem to have a lot of good skills, but right now we don't have a position opening for you. I know that email by heart. You get a lot of those kind of emails when you apply. What is the next best profession? Management consulting. And at that point of time, I also wanted to get into an MBA college. So these are the two career paths as per my research, which are feeder careers into these good MBA colleges. I didn't know what management consulting was. I read about it. It sounds cool. People who are traveling a lot, working with CEOs. Sounds really cool, right? So I applied. Again, applied to the top consulting firms, McKinsey, BCG, Bain. All of them rejected. At this point, I was frustrated. So I actually reached out to one of the HRs of BCG. I got her number somehow, and I called her, and I told her, why did you reject me, right? I'm from a good college. I have all the skill sets. I mean, it was like, as a 19-year-old kid who was facing so much rejections for the first time in my life, somebody who has been topping all the subjects ever since then, seeing so many rejections was a huge, shock. You don't get, certificate of participation anymore at that point of life, right? So at that point of time, I was very frustrated, so I asked her. She said that we don't even look at people from, she's like, this is off the record, we don't even look at people from outside IITs, and, the last they would look at is bits. Right? I was from a top college in my state. Didn't really matter to them. Right? So that's when I realized, okay, branding is what truly matters. It doesn't matter what you know at those top blue chip companies. So then fortunately, KPMG came to my college, and 600 people applied, and 2 people got in. I was one of them.
Oh.
Because I had prepared so much after all those rejections, so I was conditioned well. So I over-prepared, and I got in. And then I was surrounded by a very good group of people from IIMs. Right, so then I was surrounded by some of the best minds in the country. So that again improved my knowledge about investing and finance and all of that. So I think that's how the entire, the career transition happened. Most people ask me, if you did mechanical engineering, how did you end up in management consulting? So many things happened, right? So many ups and downs happened. So many, jugaad work happened to reach that point. Granted, yes, the company came to my college, but still 600 people applied and 2 people. What were the odds? Right, less than 1%. It happened because I faced those rejections. I over-prepared myself to get that job. I did the research that this is what I want to do.
So, looking back, if you could give yourself advice on how to invest in your work, in your career, from your experiences as a content creator, what would you tell the Sharan who's a management consultant in KPMG?
Right, so that's a very good question. I think there is always this debate of whether you need to be a jack of all trades or a master of one. I would say both are required. You need to be a jack of all trades to improve your personal brand, show that you're good at multiple things, but then have that differentiation or expertise in that one particular field which will make you stand out. For me, right now as a content creator, it is not the financial knowledge. See, financial knowledge, I'm sure an IIM finance professor knows a lot more than me. He has done PhD and whatnot. Right? I'm just a person who is learning from their textbooks, who is learning from people who have the CFAs and the CA licenses and certification. What I have is, number one, jack of all trades, which is I know about insurance sector, I know about taxation, I know about investing in mutual funds, I know about money psychology. So because I know a little bit of everything, that is my differentiation. That is number one. Number two is because of my creativity, right? Usually people who are in finance roles, finance is considered as a boring subject. Why? Because the people who are learning them are not able to explain it to a layman in an easy and a fun way. Right? So my differentiation comes in that I'm very good at being creative. I think that was a natural strength for me. That I think that was something that my life experiences and the kind of friends I used to hang out with, I was in Bangalore, so that accent and that way of speaking that comes into my script writing. So that was a strength of mine. So I combined that very strong niche skill, being creative, and combining it with finance. Now there are very few people in India who can make finance funny. So that makes my differentiation as a core strength. Very few people have this skill. Now your pay is directly proportional to how less people can do what you do, which is valuable at the same time. The way for me to build specialization in one thing, that what I fell in love with was Excel. Most people think Microsoft Excel is a very, very basic tool we learn in school, do addition, subtraction, but there are so many more things that you can do, and I fell in love with it. I upskilled myself, learned so many things about Microsoft Excel. Then I also went one step further and learned about data visualization, how to make beautiful charts. And these things are very important as a management consultant. But the people who were there before me, let's say a senior consultant or a consultant, most of them did not put in the time and effort to upskill themselves. There were new tools which are coming in the market, especially the data visualization tools. Today, Tableau and Power BI is very, very common. But back then when I was doing it, it was very new and not many people knew how to use it. Because I had so much interest, I learned it after my 9 to 5, not 9 to 5, but after my work hours, I used to learn all of these things. There is a resource allocation system where managers will type you like a Google search. They'll type the skills and people pop up. Analysts and consultants pop up in that resource tool. And to pop up in that, they will also they'll type stuff like, I am. They'll type stuff like, past experience, 2 years, 3 years. I had nothing. So I was never popping up in their list. I was not getting allocated for projects. 6 months I was doing nothing, sitting and doing nothing, no projects at all. So I was so frustrated. I didn't want a free salary. But once I learned all of these skills, I started talking to these managers. I'm like, what, can I just work with you for free? When you mean free, I'm getting a salary. But in management consulting, there's something called chargeability. How many hours you spent on a client's project. Depending on how many hours of your time in the office is spent on a client project, your ratings increase. Your chances of being promoted increases. I told them I don't want chargeability, just put me for free. I will work with you for free. I'll do it as a learning experience. So I joined a project. That's how I got my first project. And then I showed all the things that I learned, using Excel, using Power BI. Managers were impressed. They started talking about this with other managers. Like when they see the slides, they'll get to know. The clients are impressed, right? Oh, wow, such a nice representation of our company. So that sort of made the managers look good. When the managers look good, they don't want to let go of those resources who made them look good. I happened to be that resource, and that created a compounding effect. And then I was allocated on one project after the other. Then my utilization crossed 100%. Even though there are 8 hours in a day, I was getting more hours of chargeability. Managers like, okay, you put 10 hours. I don't care. You put in so much effort. You can put 16 hours also because you put in so much effort. So that's how I increased my chargeability, and then I became like a star performer. I got there are like in KPMG, there's like a rating system. 1 is given to the top 5% of the people. 2 is given to the top 15% of the people. Now, I was in a pool of people with IIM grads as well. Right? I still managed to get the 2 rating. Right? So that was my entire journey.
I find a nice contrast in what you just said. One is you need to come up in the right tags, IIMs and ISBs and whatnot, correct? You also spoke of experience. But it's your skills, yes. But what I find very interesting is that you didn't just learn the skills, you also then approached people upfront. You can call that networking.
Right.
And typically people do use all of these things, skills, degrees, experience and networks to build their careers.
Right.
If you were to sort of prioritize what's number one according to you, what is that one thing that will really propel you in your career, or is it a combo, or is it a mix of all 4? How do you rate them?
I would definitely rate networking as the number 1 because you can still fake your way into something. Getting that foot in the door is the most important thing. That is a mistake that I did early on in my career. I thought because I am the best at something or I know more than everybody else, I thought things will come to me. In consulting, it doesn't work that way. I thought people will eventually discover me. I thought the work will do the talking. No. You need to talk to people and then talk about your work. Now, if you have already upskilled yourself in something, then you can talk stuff about it and then you can impress them. That is the second thing. If you're not upskilled, then even if you try to network, then people will know that you're bullshitting. So first thing is knowing how to network, reaching out to people, and then have very good storytelling skills where you can explain about yourself, your skills, and how much impact you can add them. And the second thing would be actually learning those skill sets so that you can tell them how you can actually help them in whatever they're doing. So this is how I would rate it.
Typically, one of the reasons why people upskill with us, they want to transform into another vertical, another industry. I've been doing sales for the longest time. Marketing seems like a better job, no sales targets and whatnot.
Right.
I want to get into marketing. I have been in marketing, but I've always been called non-creative. But data seems interesting. Data seems to get me into the room and give me a voice, even if I'm not creative. So I move from marketing to data. Or I'm a techie. I've been coding, debugging, whatever for the longest time. There are sexier technologies out there, so I want to move.
Right.
So transforming for us is a very consistent behavior that learners show. You have gone from engineering to management consulting to content creation to now entrepreneur come self-brand building.
Right.
And these are transformations. How difficult or easy was it to move between these 4 vastly different sort of areas of operation?
Very interesting question, because what I did was, when I was a management consultant, I did not leave management consulting immediately. 1 year I was doing 2 things at the same time. So it all comes down to determination and persistence. Anything in life, it's not about what you know or how great you are compared to somebody else. If you have the determination and persistence to do something on a long-term period, you will beat everybody else out there, because that is such an underrated skill. Most people discount it so much. Like even determination and persistence for 1 year can completely turn around your life. So I was doing management consulting from like 9 a.m., sometimes even 8 a.m., depending on, I was working with US clients, so then 7:30 a.m. calls, all the way till 8 o'clock in the night. I was working almost 12, 14 hours per day. After that, I go down, have dinner, and then work on my content creation. Saturdays and Sundays, if there is work in management consulting, I have to do that as well. But if there is no work, I'm happy because I can work full-fledgedly on content creation. So just 1 year I did that, full focus, no distractions. And obviously the lockdown also helped, created the perfect environment for us to not have distractions, because even if my friends are calling out to drink, where will I go? Then nothing is open, right? So that was the perfect environment for me, 1 year continuous focus. And then I was able to bring content creation income to my management consulting income. Obviously, I was still scared, should I, jump ship so quickly, because content creation is not a, guaranteed career path, and it was very new, this category, education content creators. So then I waited till it became 10 times the income, then I made the shift, right? So that took me 1 year, and actually 2022 January is when I made that shift completely to move. So yeah, that is the simple answer: persistence and determination. Anything, you can achieve anything with that. Just 1 year of persistence and determination can transform your life.
I want to sort of probe further on when you say just 1 year of your life. This is a challenge that we also face with our learners a lot of times, wherein we tell them just this one course of 11 months, 18 months, whatever, 24 months, and your life can change. But if I put myself in their shoes, I feel that I'm already doing a lot. My work and the work that I do for the company, I feel that I'm already investing a lot.
True.
So when you ask me for one more investment, it just feels like too much, right? How do you think people can motivate themselves to just go that little further? But how do you really motivate yourself to give that 1 year? And this is for work, right? I have never been able to go to the gym because of that same lack of motivation.
Right.
So I think when you say all it takes is 1 year of determination, how do you do it really? How do you turn that thought into reality?
We are never taught how to manage our time. Even now, I feel like I'm wasting 50-60% of my time in a day. It could be procrastinating, it could be daydreaming, it could be thinking too much about the future, what's going to happen. Everybody does this, right? So learning how to manage your time is such an underrated skill. And most people, what they do is they give too much importance to the time spent in the office, and then after that, the remaining time that they have, which is their time, that they just waste it freely, right? They feel like they deserve to waste it freely because they've put in the effort in the office that is for somebody else. And now when it comes to their own time, they're very free with their time and they're wasting it freely. I think that is where the problem is. So when you realize that the time after you spend in the office is for you, and how you spend that time, how you spend your time after your 9-to-5 job is what separates the top 1% of the earners from the rest of them. If you're going to do what everybody else does, which is, figuring out what's the latest new club opening, what kind of concert to attend to, or which house party to attend to, who has the best kind of gossip, who broke up with whom. If you're going to do all of that, which is what everybody else does, gossip, partying, then you're going to be like everybody else, right? If you realize that is when the true transformation happens, and that is when you learn to prioritize your time better. When I was doing both content creation and consulting, I figured out a way how first I was like, let me just give my 9-to-5 for work, and then I'll do this. But then I figured out ways how I can do my main job faster. Instead of working from 9 to 5, now that I know I have something else to do, now this 9 to 5, I could squeeze it to 9 to 12 or something. I could finish within 3 hours, things which was taking me 8 hours because I knew I had 8 hours to do. I was doing it slowly, casually, going on Instagram, watching reels, talking to my friends, watching YouTube video, and then finally I used to, when there's like 2-3 hours left, I used to do most of the work. That is how I used to work before, and I used to think that is why it takes me so many hours to do my work. But in reality, if I had to plan my day better, even in my corporate job, I can finish it in half the time. If I'm not wasting time going for 3-4 coffee breaks, or doing office gossip, or talking shit behind the boss's back. If I don't do all of that, I can actually finish my work faster. That is what I realized. So I could free up obviously I didn't tell my boss that, I have free time, give me more work. I could have done that to, get a better hike or a better promotion. But I had other priorities in place. So that freed up time, I was doing other things in life. So I think learning how to manage your time is the number one thing that you need to do in order to prioritize, the other things that you're doing in life apart from work. But most people live an entire life without learning how to do that. And they always complain about not having enough time. This is easier said than done, but that's about it, right? Know how to manage your time and prioritize, have those proper focus areas in your day where you are so focused on your work And then you will realize that that work which typically used to take you X number of hours can be done in X by 3 number of hours.
I agree. I think we evaluate ourselves not by how much time we spend doing a particular amount of work, but simply by calculating the number of hours we've been in office.
Yeah, yeah.
You spoke of, just doing, and I'll sort of come back to that same question of putting in that 1 hour, right, from another context. It was easier for us to entertain the idea that I have to go to college for 6 hours in a day, that I have to go to school for 8 hours in a day. But the minute it comes to online education, people feel that giving 2 hours a day is also too much.
Right.
There are, of course, multiple factors for it. Some people look at offline education as more credible, more real. Some people look at online as, time pass.
Right.
Whatever, I can do it on YouTube, I can do it anywhere. So it's not really going to be the same as offline.
And I'll tell you why. Because in offline, there are systems kept in place to make you focused. Because there is a professor who might, call you out in the class and, ridicule you for not performing well. Or there is a ranking system in place. People love gamification factors. If you have a CGPA, relative CGPA, which is what a college like ISB has, where it compares you with other peers in your class, you are naturally going to be more focused because there is a gamification factor. And then you're seeing real people around you, so you're going to be more focused. You see outcomes of your peers, like somebody got a job placement because he did this, this, and this. Now you're going to follow that because he's right around you. He has done that right beside you. In online, that connection is much more difficult to build, right? You need to create those systems for you. You need to make yourself focused by yourself. You cannot rely on external factors because there is no external factor because it is online. Now, because the same set of people who went through online and offline, same person in offline, because there were systems and measures in place, he was naturally, automatically more focused at doing that. But that same person, if he's doing online, because there are no external systems in place, he's going to waste his time. He or she is going to not take it seriously. And then finally, when the outcome is so different over here, it actually is because of you, because you did not put in the time and effort to do it, but you blame the system. You blame like, okay, offline is better than online. But in reality, it's because of the measures which were put in place in offline and online. The environments were different. That because of the environment is different, the same person, has behaved differently. So I think that is where the change is.
Self-discipline. Basically.
Self-discipline. That is very difficult to do in online.
Any tips for our listeners on how to apply self-discipline or any hacks that have worked for you?
I'll give you an example of a gym, right? Because that is what most people struggle with. Now, I have multiple phases in life where I'm disciplined in gym and I'm not disciplined in gym. To bring myself back up to the disciplined mode, it's not that easy. Everybody goes through those cycles. And people who are able to do that cycle again and again, see, there is one group of people who are like, gym bros who go there regularly, religiously. That might be 0.1% of the people who are so focused on gym that they'll do it, until they're 50 or 60. That is 0.1% of the people. The rest of us always are in that up and down cycle. We go through the up and down cycle maybe 2 or 3 times, and then when we are in that down, we are like 31, 32. Career takes so much importance that we never come back up on the fitness cycle ever again, and it's always down, right? That's how we end up with beer bellies and all of that at 40, 45, 50, right? And that's going to remain like that forever. Then you'll go for walks, that's it. You'll go to the park, you'll go for walks, and that's it. That is what your life is going to be fitness-wise. So what I do is to always keep going up and down. Now, I've gone through this cycle 3-4 times of going to up and down of the gym routine. I make an expensive purchase. For example, I might purchase a new expensive pair of shoes. I did that last year when I had to bring myself up. I bought a 4,000 rupees pair of Skechers shoes. So I had to go to the gym at least 1 week. I bought those shoes, 4,000 rupees. I have to use those shoes. 1 week I go to the gym and I'm back to the phase where I'm going 3 to 4 times a week. I got that kick. Recently, I purchased an expensive pair of gym outfit from Under Armour, which is super expensive in India for some reason. And I spent like 12,000 rupees. Now, that's very expensive for gym, one pair of gym outfit. I could have gone to Adidas and got it for 4,000 rupees also. But I really want to spend 12,000 rupees because now that has motivated me. Okay, I spent 12,000 rupees here. Now I'm going to go. This is this year. I've come to that down because I was not well. So I had to pick myself up again. So I made this expensive purchase and boom, I'm back to the gym again. Now again, I'm back to those 3 to 4 times. So for most people who are not like godlike self-disciplined, which is most people, you need to make that initial investment where you feel that pinch and guilty that, okay, I've made this investment, now I better, be disciplined. So I think that is one thing. So when people say, I can learn everything for free online, When are you doing that? Because people don't value free in this country. When something is available for free, we take it for granted. You can learn anything you want on YouTube, except for being a doctor and being a lawyer, because you cannot just watch a person doing an operation or doing a cesarean surgery and do it, next day. That requires practice and proper coaching. But anything else in life, be it data analytics or whatever it's taught in IIMs also, everything can be learned for free. But are you doing it? You're not doing it. You're not typing that on YouTube. You are probably watching Tanmay Bhatt's roast on YouTube, right? You're watching all of those kind of videos. You're not typing how to do business modeling for a pharmaceutical company. You're not typing that on YouTube, right? So just because it's free doesn't mean that you'll be, you're going to make the best use of it, right? You need to create that pinch for yourself to make you disciplined, right? So that is my way of keeping myself disciplined, making that initial investment, and then my body feels guilty, my mind feels guilty, so I need to commit to that. Free, we take it for granted, even I take it for granted.
So if I can sort of summarize what you just said, because I was thinking, how to put that in a sentence. Typically, that's what copywriters do.
Yeah.
Would you say I buy an expensive carrot and dangle it in front of me? So I both feel the pinch and the motivation.
Yeah.
And that's how you get in.
You buy the carrot and put it in front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You spoke of, creating multiple sources of income.
Right.
Which is very difficult for a working professional. Recently, moonlighting has been in the news. How does a working professional go about creating multiple sources of income while still having one job? And of course, I'm not looking for, take up another job or whatnot. But how do you use your money smarter or your skills better to work better?
So, firstly, I know that moonlighting has been a big hot topic, but there are several companies in India which actually encourage entrepreneurship among their employees, right? So I would say first, pick your right employer where you're encouraged to pursue other things. See, I allow my employees to do other things as well, right? I don't want them to be like, you only have to do this. In your free time, you can do whatever you want as long as, all the responsibilities in your shoes has been met. You can focus on other things, because I don't want to limit someone from creating multiple sources of income. That is something which I did in my career, so why will I limit someone else from doing it? And that has created a huge impact for me. So I don't want to restrict anybody from doing that. That's number one. Second thing I would say is the easiest way to create another source of income for you is by investing, right? It won't come immediately. It might give results to you maybe in your 40s or 50s, but if you start in your 20s, that additional source of income will come in your 40s and 50s when the corpus has grown big enough. Most people are not even doing that. That is the lowest hanging fruit that you can focus upon. That is the bare minimum that you should do. Now, to take it one step further, to make multiple sources of income, I would say is to learn a new skill and freelance yourself. I know it sounds very cliched and boring, but that's it, right? Things which are things which are difficult to do are actually simple to execute. You just have to do it over and over again, right? So master a new skill or your existing skills and see how you perform as a freelancer. See if there's anybody willing to hire you directly instead of going through a company. Now, in the beginning, you will have to work for free. You might have to offer your services at a very dirt cheap price. But as you build the experience, as you get the testimonials, as you get those positive feedback, then you can build your personal brand.
Okay, I think Sharan, I'm done with my questions.
Yeah.
But what we have been doing is asking people on social media if they have any questions.
Yeah.
And my team here, which is going to be the voice of the people, will also have some quick follow-up questions to what you just spoke of through the conversation.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to move out of this chair and my team is going to keep coming and asking you a few questions.
This reel or this format has boomed and it's time, like everybody has done it. Like, is it too late for me to do now?
As somebody who's starting out in a corporate job, this is somebody's first job, how would someone like that approach finding your niche?
How do I know that this person is not bluffing, or okay fine, this is something that I can actually put to use?
They're only showing the best parts of their life. Similarly, on LinkedIn also, they're showing the best things that they've done, and it's usually exaggerated. That's the first realization that you come to.